Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Uh, this is Sajnin Jahan from University Salangar Comnet Organization. Um, Today we have organized a free training session of ICT training. So today basically the second session based on how to create a website using Bootstrap. So today basically I will teach you on the overall introduction of CSS that is a part of a Bootstrap. So today I will proceed to continue teaching on CSS program. So I'm very glad that my organization, ComNet, that is Center for Communication Engagement, has organized a free training session for students of IT background, and I would like to welcome all the participants. Now, our director of ComNet, who has organized this training session, this ICT training session, has sent us a welcoming speech. Let's hear from him.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to the organizer who have tried to organize ICT training. Let's design a website using Bootstrap. First of all, I would like to express my congratulations to our beloved instructor, Ms. Sazri Jahan, who is very committed to provide a training module to make sure this program success. To the participant who took the time to follow this training, hopefully you'll be able to learn new and useful knowledge, inshallah. And on behalf of University Selangor, UNICEL, especially our unit, Center for Community Engagement, ComNet, we would like to say our commitment in community education so that more children, youth, and also senior citizens can explore new knowledge and do something for their community. So from this event, from this program, we really hope that you can apply to your own community, your own organization or society to develop their own website, inshallah. So finally, I wish you a happy study and see you again in the future. I hope you enjoy to learn about programming using Bootstrap. Inshallah, Ms. Sazanin will teach you, will guide you. If you have any question or problem, you just ask Ms. Sazanin. They will help you, inshallah.
Okay, so I would like to thank our director of organizer who has organized this training session. So now let's start with our second session, that is CSS, introduction to CSS. So before going to our teaching session, I would like to capture our picture, all the participants' picture. So give me some moment to take a picture. Okay, so let's start our training session. Let's start our training session, introduction to Bootstrap. Okay, so today's session is based on the introduction to CSS. So let's get start our session. So basically today I will teach you the overall introduction on CSS. So why should actually we learn first? We all should know that why we should learn HTML and CSS. So basically, actually we should learn CSS and HTML because it allows us to bring out our personality on our own website and enables you to stand out from the from the outside and contribute to projects and help you to understand and explore other languages and provides you with an opportunity to transition into a different career. So and there are some more things that we should learn HTML and CSS. HTML and CSS. Basically, we will have the knowledge to build and understand the fundamentals of the web. We have got an entrepreneur spirit or know someone that does. You will have the ability to create unique websites. So actually, HTML and CSS are the frameworks that used to develop websites. Sorry. If you can understand that how they work together, you are much better off when it comes to design, marketing, and several other professions. So you don't need to be actually a very expert, uh, but being able to understand how to utilize this language can help you build an optimized user-friendly website for your business. And if you know the basics, you have the foundation that allow you to do bigger things. Many websites platforms like WordPress or e-commerce sites like Shopify make it pretty, and they're powerful application for the ability to custom build the website that you want, and you should use HTML and CSS for that purpose. So there is another thing that if you are trying to start a business and save money on your startup cost, HTML and CSS are actually a very great tool to have when creating your website. Basically, you can use this HTML and CSS program or things to your business to promote your products on the website for the business purpose also. So actually there are so many advantage of using HTML and CSS or learning HTML and CSS. And and so now we will proceed the basic introduction to CSS. Actually, what is CSS? CSS basically uh, CSS CSS basically stands for Cascading Style Sheets, that is CSS, that used to design a website. Without CSS, used to design a website, and without CSS, website cannot be a attractive website. So CSS is used in HTML with three ways: CSS and HTML, both basic step to create website, and that describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on the screen or other media. And CSS also helps you to do a lot of work. It can control the layout of the multiple web pages. So like this, CSS is work for them. And this cascading means actually the CSS is the short form of cascading style sheets. So in short form we call it cascading style sheets. That is fondly referred to css.css. Handles the look and feel part of a web page. Using CSS you can control the color of the next or the text, the style of fonts, the spacing, the spacing between paragraphs, how how columns are sized and laid out, what background images or colors are used, as well as a variety of other effects. So basically CSS is work like this, and CSS is the language we use to style an HTML document, and CSS describes how actually HTML elements should be displayed on the screen, I mean on the web page. And CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, as I already said. So this typical CSS file is a text file with an extension, and CSS contains a series of commands for all rules, and these rules tell the HTML how to display actually the content. Now we'll talk about the CSS benefits. What actually the benefits of CSS, using CSS? Uh, First of all, it separates structure from presentation, provides advanced control of presentation, easy maintenance of multiple pages, faster page loading, better accessibility for disabled user, easy to learn. So basically there are so many benefits of using CSS in a web page. Without CSS, the website will not display as expectation from the customer, uh, according to the customer. So basically there are lots of benefits in CSS. And actually the CSS, what actually CSS defines? CSS style defines how to display HTML elements. Styles are normally stored in style sheets. Styles are added to HTML 4.0 to solve problems, and external style sheets can save you a lot of work. And external style sheet are also stored in CSS files. Then multiple style definition will cascade into one. So there are actually later on I will explain what is external style sheet, what is internal style sheet, what is multiple style sheet. So now I will just give a brief description on CSS. And CSS also stands for Cascading Style Sheet, as I already said. And the style defines how to display HTML elements. And then the style sheet can save you a lot of work. Uh, and style definitions will cascade into one. Okay, so now we will go on to the next slide, that is who creates and maintains the CSS. Basically, HTML is not able to do certain things on its own. It can be very limited. For example, what if you wanted to different color lights on the web page? A good example of this is Amazon.com. You can take a look on Google it on Google, the Amazon.com, so that you can take an idea that how actually CSS is working in the website. That's the best example about the CSS, and you will see many different color hyperlinks on the same page. HTML cannot do this. This is just the start. HTML CSS will do for HTML to display the content so attractively. And CSS is created and maintained through a group of people within the W3C. W3C means actually it's like the CSS working shop. So this provides equality for all browser like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, Opera, and that's actually called the CSS working group. When specification has been discussed and officially ratified by the W3 members, so it becomes a recommendation. One goal of those who develop languages for the web page is to separate the content, I mean the words on the page, from the style of the page, like font, colors, etc. While not final answer to this problem, developers created CSS to manage the style of the web page so that HTML could handle the content. So basically CSS is actually very important an important part on a web page. And one of the problem with HTML pages is that they contain the they contain the content as well as the style or appearance of a web pages. For example, you frequently see that font color equal to red or B tag, this tag in HTML code. So these tend to appear many times in the same page. In addition, HTML is not able to do certain things on its own. It can be very limited. So a good example of this is the msn.com, as I already said. So you can take a look that website, how actually CSS is using in the web page for creating the web page. Then these style sheets can save a lot of work, like styles in regular HTML, define how HTML elements are displayed, just like the font tag and the color attribute also. Style sheets enable you to control the appearance and layout of the all pages in your site using one file, and this helps you to change the whole site just by editing a single CSS document. And this can save a days of work for a big site, so it will also save you time. Then that CSS have multiple styles that will cascade into one, and style sheet allows style information to be specific in many ways, and style can be listed inside a single HTML element inside the head tag element of an HTML page or an external CSS file. So even a multiple external style sheet can be referred inside a single HTML document. However, all of uh, all of the single cascade into each other. Your HTML page will use all of them in a certain order to do a multiple style. Then we have the cascading order. What style will be used when there is more than one style specified for an HTML elements? So there are many sorts of style, from external documents and to inline code like font tag, etc. All styles cascade or all fall into one virtual style sheet. If there is more than one style for an element, the one closer to the actual HTML code will be used. The styles and other that are used are follows like hash 4, that is the last, so it can take over uh, any of the first three. So like we have four types of style order, like browser default, external style sheet, internal style sheet, which is inside the head tag, then inline style, which is inside the HTML element. At this point, so all you should be sure of is this: there is a way to take the style of the HTML code and keep it in a separate sheet. You can leave the style in your HTML code if you need to, and style sheets can make development faster if used correctly. Okay, then we will learn about the CSS syntax. So actually, what is CSS syntax? We'll learn. So the goal of this lesson, like what is actually the syntax? There is so much to learn about CSS. It could be a whole course by itself. By the end of this introduction of CSS, you should be able to understand the basic concept of CSS and be able to use CSS in your websites for all styles, and know where to get more information about using CSS. And the CSS syntax is made up of three parts, like the selector, a property, and a value. In the next slide, I will show you what is selector, what is property, and what is a value. And in selector, selector is starting in this inside the second bracket. We have to put the property and then value. The selector is normally the element tag you used to define the property is the attribute you used to change, and each property can take a value, and the property and value are separated by the colon and surrounded by curly braces. So here's an example of redefining the body tag, like inside the body tag, you have to write down the color equal to black. This will change the color. This will change the background color. So the tag above would change the color of the body, like the background to black. So the background will be changed if you put body, and then the second bracket for starting second bracket and the closing second bracket. Inside this second bracket, you have to put the property and value. Property is like color, value is like value. Value is like the black color. So in value, you have to write down the color name, and if another color like red were specified inside the body tag, that color red would be used in the background color if you put the red color instead of the black color. So so if the value of a style is multiple words, put quotes around the value. There you have to write down the p tag and set the p tag in second bracket. There are font family. Font family is actually the declaration property, and then sans serif. This is a kind of font style. So this is called actually the value. Here you can see that here I put the selector means the tag, I mean the heading tag, uh, which size you want to display your content. This is the declaration, and this is the declaration. So in first declaration there will be a property and value. So property has to be right, like color. You want to uh, uh, you want to design the home page. You want to you want to change, if you want to change the color of the background. So first you have to write down the color, then the colon, and after the colon you have to write down the value. So value means the color name. You can put the blue color, you can put red, you can put the black, you can put orange. So that all is actually the value. Then if you want to resizing your text, or resizing your formatting text, then you have to declare the property. After that, font size. So font size is another property. Then if you want to display the content in a 12px, then that will be the another value. So this is basically, we have to code in CSS. We have to code to display the content into our browser. So actually, so you can put more than one style in a tag. Just separate styles with a semicolon. So this leads font family and font color style. So here I put another example of two declaration, which is font family, and the other one is the color. So color is the property, font family is the property, and sans serif, this is the formatting. Uh, this is the font style, and the rate is the another value. So this value is actually indicates the property of color. So to make it more legible, you can list the style on separate lines also, like here. Like you can see, I separated the same line in 3 lines. The first one I did in 1 line. You can also separate the lines to to CSS or to code your content. Okay. So now we'll move on to the next one, that is connecting to CSS. So connecting to your CSS, uh, uh, connecting to the style. Basically, there are 3 ways to connect your style. First one is the external style sheet. Second one is the internal style sheet. So inside the head tag, actually the internal style sheet have to put an inline, and for connecting the inline style, so you have to connect this inside the HTML element. Connecting to the style inline, the first we will review is inline style, that is inside the HTML element. This means that the style goes inside the HTML tag. Like here I give an example like p tag style, then style, so then equal to quotation. In the quotation, like I did the declaration for value, and declaration for property also. So this is the inline text style, this is the inline style. So and this can be useful, but the style is still in the HTML page. This is basically what you have done in the HTML. So now there are internal style sheet. So in the internal style sheet, we have to quote the style like this. First, you have to write down head, then style type. Inside the quotation, you have to write down text slash CSS. This basically indicates the CSS file. Then you have to put the heading. Inside the heading, you can color your content. Then after that, the paragraph P. then then you have to close the style. This is must. You have to close this. You have to close the style tag, because this indicates the CSS file. Then you will close the head tag. So if you put this style tag in the head of the HTML page, this style can be used for all P and H2 tags on the page. Connecting to the style, now let's talk about the external style sheet. How external style sheet has to design, has to code. Sorry. So an external style sheet is deal when the style is applied to many pages. When an external style sheet, you can change the look of an entire website by changing on file. Each page must link to the style sheet using the link tag. The link tag goes inside the head section. So basically, external style goes on the head section, and internal style sheet goes on the HTML page. This is actually the main thing. And then here I give an example of the external style sheet. What is actually external style sheet? How to put? So head, then you have to put the link rel, then then style sheet type equal to text slash CSS. This is to indicate the CSS file. Then href, you can put here the link also. You can put here the link. Then you have to close the head tag. After that, it will display the external style sheet documentation CSS to the web browser. Okay, so got it. So now the external style sheet, how do we write an external CSS file? Simply you have to open the text editor like Notepad, or like I'm using Visual Code Studio. You can also use the other text editor also, like Sublime text editor, Notepad, then Visual Code Studio. I'm using Visual Code Studio because it's actually the latest one. You can write any types of programming in there, so this is basically easier and the latest one uh, to display the content of your in your web page. So basically this is the entire this is the example of the entire contents of the CSS file, nothing else. So after typing in this code, you have to save it as mystyle.css, or you can you can put another name also, but you must have to save the file .css. So before the dot you can put any name, but you have to close this file, I mean .css. You have to save this file .css and put it in the same folder as your web page. And it's very important that the css file name end with .css. Next, you need to link your HTML file to your CSS file, because this is very important. If you don't link your CSS file into inside the HTML file, then your color or your style sheet or your styling or your designing will not display into in the web page that you created. So use the link tag in your HTML file as shown in my example, and then connecting to the style css.html with link to css. So later on, after finishing the whole slide, I will I will create a css website, like a simple website for you to better understanding. Now we will talk about the css class attribute. What actually is css class attribute? So with the class attribute, you can define different types, different styles for the same element. For example, you can see the msn.com. Just simply go to the Google, then search msn.com, and then you can count, or you can take a look how many different colors hyperlinks they are using, they use. So for example, suppose you would like to have two types of paragraphs in your document, one right alignment paragraph and one center alignment paragraph. Yeah, you can also take a look from that website how they design the css uh, css attribute. And to be even more powerful, you can also leave the tag name in the selector to define a style that can be used by many elements. Instead of p.center, inside the third bracket, like text align center, so this will display the texting, the paragraph in the center. And you can use the following line for any tag, like p tag, h2 tag, h3 tag, etc. Also, and you can call a class in the same way as before. This class would be in the css file. So your HTML file would call the center class for any tag using the class attribute, since your CSS file did not associate it in with a particular tag. So here, here you can take a look. Here, this is the body tag. Then we put h3 class equal to center. I mean, inside the quotation, you are doing the alignment. So I'll go to the next one, that is the ID attribute. What is actually the ID attribute of CSS? So the ID attribute is like the class attribute, but it's more powerful. It can be defined in two ways. It can be defined to match all elements with a particular ID, or to match or to match only one element with a particular ID, and using it to uniquely identify one object on a web page is the most frequent use. And the ID attribute CSS syntax, we will now learn about the ID attribute CSS syntax. So the syntax of the ID attribute is very similar to the class attribute in both the CSS and HTML files. So first, we will address how to create an ID in the CSS file, then how to call it in our HTML file. So the ID attribute CSS syntax, writing an ID attribute in your CSS file is fairly simple, like that. I put already an example of that ID attribute. So you have to write down p, then hash in intro, then inside the second bracket code, second bracket, you have to declare, you have to declaration, I mean you have to declaration for the value, uh, for the value and the attribute. And you can also write a more global ID by not associating it with a certain tag. In the example value, you can eliminate the p tag like this. So you can remove the p tag. So it will also appear in the web pages. Okay. So now we will talk about the CSS comments. So what actually CSS comments like in CSS we can make so many comments also, like that will easier the programmer to understand what actually it's defining, what actually tells the browser. So comments actually some developer use comment for their better understanding if they have any problem later on, so that they can fix it by uh, by seeing the comment. So CSS comments, one way to use comments well is to identify your CSS code for others to read, like this example. So if you send your CSS file to others, so that will be easier for them to understand actually uh, this CSS code is used for what. So this is actually important. So like in comment, first you have to do the slash, then after the slash you have to put the star, then in the star you can comment anything. You can comment anything like uh, the upper like the next line I put this a menu link class, so you can comment like this is my menu link class. And uh, the second line comment I put here, this is my main area link class. So basically why I put here, because this line, I mean this declaration is all about the area link, all about the area link class. So you can comment here. So if you comment anything, it will not changes anything to your web pages. It will not change anything, any attribute. Then the common CSS uses, what actually CSS uses uh, uses. So the comments, first we will talk about the CSS text. So text properties allow you to control the appearance of text. It is possible to change the color of a text, increase or decrease the space between characters in a text, alignment a text, decorate a text, index indent the first line in a text, and more. So we will now learn the CSS text. So first is color. This is the set of the color of a text. Then the text alignment, text align. In short form, we call it text align instead of text alignment. So this aligns the text in an element. Then we have text decoration. It adds the decoration to text. So here an example of a CSS text. So like P, inside the second bracket, we um, have to declare the value like here declaration. So you need to declare the property value that can be color, that can be font size. So basically this one is like that declaration of value. Sorry. So declaration the value. So first you will declare the color, then you will declare the text decoration, then you will declare the text alignment. So like this, you want to display the content in a underline, so you have to declare the underline into text decoration. So underline is the value, center is the value also, and red is the value also. So the color is actually the declaration of the CSS code. Then we have CSS font. So font, uh, there are so many kinds of font, like font family, font weight, font size, font style. So font family chooses the look of the font weight sets the weight of the font size sets the size of the font, and font style sets additional style of a font. Like here I give I've given an example of the font, CSS font like P. Then inside the second bracket, you see the value declaration. So here Arial is the value of the font family. Then bold is the value for the font weight. Then 12 pt, that is size, font size is the value for the declaration of font size. Then italic is the font style, value for the declaration of font style. So this is how you can use CSS code into your web page, into your HTML element. Okay, now we will talk about the Bootstrap background color. That is the another CSS. Actually, Bootstrap is more easy than the CSS. Bootstrap uh, Bootstrap just uses the simple CSS code only to make the website, to make or to create the website, to develop the website in a short time. So this is also the important CSS for the Bootstrap. So in the Bootstrap, what we declare the background color, what attribute we declare as a background color. So we have to write down bj, then primary. If you write down bj primary, then that will display in the blue color. Then the secondary, if you write down bj primary, bj means bj is the short form of the background color. So if you write down the bj secondary, that will display the web page as a gray color. Then if you write down the bj success, then your background color will be changed into blue color. Then if you put the bj danger, that will display your web page, I mean your web background into red color. So there are just this color in Bootstrap. Warning indicates the yellow background. Info indicates the sky background. Then light is for white, dark is for black, the background color. So in Bootstrap, you have to, if you want to change your background color, then you have to use this bj color in the style sheet. Then we have the Bootstrap text color also. Okay. Okay, one of our participants is saying that he understands. That's good for me that you understand, you understood the basic CSS very well. It's my pleasure. Okay, so let's now talk about the text colors. So if you here in the previous, I talked about the Bootstrap background color. Now I'll talk about the text color. Now we'll talk about the text color. So text color, you have to, if you want to style your Bootstrap web page, then you have to put the text primary. Here we used bj primary. Now here in the text, if you want to color your text, then you have to put the text as a color, as a text primary to display your content, I mean your paragraph tag, your paragraph content into sky color. Then we have this text secondary that will display the text into gray color. Then we have the success that will display green color. Then we have danger. If you want to design your code, if you design your texting, I mean if you change your color, the texting color, then you have to put the text, then the color name. So this is the color name of the Bootstrap. So Bootstrap are using this limited color. That's why actually CSS is more on color, more on designing. Bootstrap is limited color. Bootstrap has a limited colors. Okay, so okay, so actually how actually HTML looks like without CSS. So there is a proverb like HTML without CSS is like a piece of candy without a pretty wrapper. So actually without CSS, it's actually typically flow from top to bottom at the of the page and the position themselves to left the default, and with CSS that will help, and we can create containers to better organize content and make a web page visually appealing. Now here I put two example of CSS, HTML and CSS code, uh, HTML and CSS display. So in here, the first page, you can see that without CSS, how actually the website is look like, and the CSS, how website is look like. So with CSS, your website will look uh, so attractive. But without CSS, your website will look like this, like a white, just only white. There is no color, so that's why it's not look beautiful. So basically, this is very important to use CSS in your website, in developing a web page. This is actually very important, and this is actually very important to know. So now actually we will we will start a simple basic. I will start a simple, I will give you a simple, I will create a simple CSS. uh, I will create a simple HTML page, the web page, simple, using CSS. So let's get started now. Okay, now you can see that, okay, like this. So now I will create this one. I will explain you step by step how to do like this home page. Like here is never, I put here the never. Here is the what it called logo. Then here is the button. So this is actually completely uses CSS. So now let's get started. So here, first of all, okay, now here first of all we have to create a file. Like you can name your file anything. So I put here a new file, like a new CSS module. Now I will develop this. I will create a simple HTML page using CSS. So like I put here a uh, background, so it will look like this. Like this I will create. Okay, so for this we first have to save our images in here in this folder. Then I put here the logo also, which logo I'm going to use in this web page, to creating this web page using CSS. Then we have to create the HTML file. So for this, like index.html, I will create, I will name the HTML file index.html. This is for the structure of the web page. Then I will create CSS file. So for CSS file, I have to rename style.css. Okay, so done naming the file like HTML. So in HTML there is nothing, so I didn't do anything in here. So now I will start. Okay, so now we will open our file, open our folder. Now just now we have created like this one, new CSS module. Oops. Okay, now here is nothing. So first we have to So here you can see in index there is nothing. So we will have to code here. Like first we have to declare the idoc type HTML5 tag. Okay, simply I can I'll copy this one and then I will explain this. So I saved the file in the htdocs folder. So here we have the one I created already, that is CSS website module. So okay, so this is the structure of the web page. So first I will copy this one here. Okay, so here I put here idoc type HTML, then HTML lang that for to display the web page in the local host, then matter char meta char set, that is UTF 8, that is to display the web page, the content in the whole content. Then I put here the title like custom website, then have to close the title tag. Then the link, this is actually very important because this will link your HTML file. uh, this will link the CSS file into HTML. So basically this is very important because because the CSS file I create the CSS file in style.css. So you have to link here. So in the href, inside the quotation, you have to link, you have to copy paste your uh, style link. CSS file, you have to copy and paste here. Then hit tag. Then we will do the body section. Okay, inside the body, we will create the logo. We will create the logo. For this, we have to do the div. Inside the div, we will create a class. Inside the div class, now we will create the nav navbar. So to create the navbar, first we will use the nav tag. Then we'll create a class on the navbar to display the logo in the nav, because we want to display the logo in the navbar. Okay, then have to close it. Then we will put the image, logo image, that is img class logo. The source is logo.png. because logo.png is our image image link. So here you can see logo.png. So I just copy the name and paste it in the source, inside the quotation of source. Then we'll close it. Sorry, we'll close it. I will put the UL tag. Inside the UL tag, I will do the nav verb. I will listing the nav verb. So first list a tag. Inside the a tag, I will create a class for the nav verb active. Okay. And paste for the link. So here I will not link anything. So I will just simply put the hashtag. Then have to close the a tag. Then have to close the li tag, listing tag. Then we list down the all of the never attribute. With the a tag. Inside the a tag, we will create a href class. So this one I will put about section. So now what I'm going to do is I will just copy and paste, because I want to create four nav link. So about now we'll create a services, now contact. Feedback. Okay, now close the UL tag, and then we have to close the nav tag. Okay, now done. After closing, now we will create another div class for just content for center, on display the content into center. So for this I have to write center, then close it. Inside the H1 I will display welcome to Unicell Connect. Okay, then I will create another heading tag. Learn from initial comment. Okay, this one is the second. Here I will put heading as a H2. This one I want to display in a small size than the H1 tag. Then I will do the I'll do the button. For this I have to create another div class. Div class equal to button buttons. Then have to close it. Okay. So after buttons, explore more. Then I will put the another button class. Followed by another button. To close it. Subscribe. Us. Okay, then we will close the body tag. We will close the HTML tag. Okay, now I'm done. So we already coded the HTML body. So let's see it. Okay, now you can see that without HTML, it looks like this. Sorry, without CSS, it looks like this. So now we will add the CSS in here. So we will now code inside the CSS. Oh, not here. Here. So our CSS style.css file is empty. So we will now code here. So for this, what we have to do. So you already see that without CSS, the website is look like this. So I don't want to show. I don't want to display like this. Okay. Okay, so let's code here in the CSS file. So first we will start. So start star and second bracket. Then in the second bracket we will do padding. Padding. We want to display this padding 0. Then you have to close the padding and margin. Then close this one. Okay. After that, wrapper. We will style on the wrapper class. So we will do the background. We will change the background color. Where background URL. So inside the URL, my picture link is pg1.jpg. So you can see the picture bg1 jpg. So we have to write down here. No repeat. the background size. Size. I'll put the value as a cover. Now the height. Close this. Okay, now see the website. Save it. Let's see how it looks like. This one. So you can see not any changes because I didn't finish it. Okay, then we will. Now I will never put. I will style in the inside the never. Inside the never position. After the position, I will set up the height. Height equal to height 80. Let's dpx. Let's assume. This one I want to display 100% width. Then width equal to 0. This one is the color code. Close it here. Now we will focus on logo. Okay. For number. Okay, so now I will do the padding. So 2p 20px and 100px. Close it. We'll do never evil. Right, and display it in the right side. That I put here. Size is 20px. Listing code in the listing, CSS style in the listing. List style. That's why I put here none. Then we do the margin equal to 0, 80, oh, oh, then we'll display display inline block, block, then line height. The website, okay. Okay, so to 20px. Color. Color, we will color it in white. Heading. 413. Yes. Then we will do the text decoration. as I already taught you in the slide, what is actually text decoration. So I don't want to decorate the text and the transition. Okay, so maybe we can copy from here. Yes. Okay, now let's see it what we did here. Save it. Okay. Okay. So now you can see that I already did the CSS for the home page of the HTML object. So here you can see that I coded for navbar. I designed a style for the navbar, then navbar logo, then navbar UL, the navbar UL listing, then navbar UL listing A, then and here is the background style for the background color. So let's see it how it looks like. Okay, so here you can see that welcome to Unicel Comnet, learn from Unicel Comnet. So explore more, subscribe in Comnet. So this is basically I designed today for you. This is actually very simple CSS in the HTML web page. This is the simple simple design, simple CSS design. So if you click on this, if you link your file inside the about, then you can, if then after clicking on there, you will directly go to that link. So this is basically I designed for you today. So that's all for today. So this is actually how we have to apply the CSS style into the HTML web page HTML elements, into the HTML elements. So is it clear? So I think that's all for today. That's all for today, I think. So we can finish it now. So tomorrow we will know about the PHP, about which is basically based on the database. So tomorrow we will learn that tomorrow is our third session. So tomorrow we will learn on the basic PHP. So till then, goodbye. See you tomorrow. So before going back, I want to take a screenshot for today's session. Okay. Okay, done for today. See you tomorrow. Till then, goodbye. Assalamualaikum. Hope you get the knowledge based on the basic introduction of CSS. So thank you very much for your participation.